My sister's fiancé tried to kiss me the night before their $30,000 wedding, so I told her everything and did this at the rehearsal dinner. I woke up to 27 missed calls from my mom, throwaway account for obvious reasons. My sister uses Reddit sometimes, and I don't want her to find this. Also, sorry for any formatting issues. I'm literally shaking while typing this on my phone. So I guess I should start with some background. My sister Candace, female, 29, and I've always had this complicated relationship growing up. She was always the favorite child, got better grades, was more outgoing, had tons of friends while I was just there. Our parents pretty much made it clear Candace was the golden child. I'm not trying to sound bitter or anything, it's just how it was. We're decent as adults, I guess. Not super close, but we get along fine. She's this super successful marketing executive at big company with the perfect apartment and perfect clothes and perfect everything while I work as a paralegal at a mid-sized law firm. I actually considered going to law school at one point, but then my college roommate graduated with like $200 in debt, so I decided against it. So, about 2 years ago, Candace met Ethan, male 31, at some charity gala her company was hosting. He's this handsome investment banker from a wealthy family. Everyone loves him. My mom, Caroline, female 58, basically treats him like the son she never had. My dad, Charles, male 60, seems to like him too, although sometimes I catch him giving Ethan these weird looks. But he never says anything negative about him. I'm genuinely happy for my sister. Really, I am. She deserves someone great. But, I don't know. Something about Ethan has always felt off to me. I can't really explain it. He's perfect on paper, but there's just something about him that makes me uncomfortable. The wedding is this huge $30,000 affair, mostly paid for by my parents, which is a whole other issue because I know they took money from their retirement fund to pay for it. My mom has been obsessed with every detail for months. Dad seems worried about the cost, but he never really stands up to Mom when she gets like this. Over the past year, there have been these incidents with Ethan. Little things that made me pause. Like at dinner once, he was staring at our waitress for way too long. Or when we were alone waiting for Candace to get ready for dinner, he made this comment about how I clean up nice in a way that just felt icky. And at Thanksgiving, he accidentally brushed against me when we were in the kitchen, and I swear it wasn't actually an accident. But every time I'd convince myself I was overreacting. I mean, these things were so small and subtle, and Candace seemed so happy. Plus, I'm the maid of honor, so I've been super involved in all the planning. Anyway, here's where everything went to shit. Last night before the wedding, I was at home packing my bag for the wedding weekend. Everyone else was staying at the hotel already, but I live close by, so I was going to drive over in the morning. It was like 10:30 p.m. and my doorbell rings. I open the door, and it's Ethan. He looked kind of messy and smelled like alcohol. I figured his bachelor party must have ended early or something. He told me he wanted my advice on a last-minute wedding gift for Candace. I didn't really want to let him in, but it seemed weird to make him stand in the hallway, so I let him come inside. He sat down on my couch, like right next to me, way closer than necessary. He was showing me pictures of jewelry on his phone, and then he told me he always thought I was the smarter, more interesting sister. I tried to change the subject back to Candace and the wedding, but then he put his hand on my thigh and said something about wondering what it would be like to be with me. I immediately stood up and told him he needed to leave. Then he actually tried to kiss me and said Candace didn't have to know. I pushed him away and told him to get the fuck out of my apartment. He just laughed and said I couldn't take a joke. But before he left, he told me no one would believe me anyway and that I'd just hurt my sister if I said anything. I've been up all night freaking out. I can't stop thinking about it. I mean, maybe he was just really drunk and made a mistake. But what kind of person does that the night before their wedding? I don't know what to do. The wedding is today. Hair and makeup people are coming to the hotel at 9 a.m. If I tell Candace now, it could ruin everything. All the planning, all the money my parents spent. But how can I let my sister marry someone who would do this? I think I've decided I have to tell her. I can't let her marry him without knowing what he did. I'm going to her hotel room early before anyone else gets there. Am I making a huge mistake? Should I wait until after the wedding? What would you do? Edit, thank you for all the responses. I'm reading them all but don't have time to reply to everyone. I'm getting ready to go to the hotel now. My hands are shaking so bad I can barely put on mascara. Edit 2. To those asking if there were any other red flags before this, yes, I guess there were, but nothing this obvious. Just small things that made me uncomfortable but could be explained away. And no, I don't have any proof. It's just my word against his. Edit 3. Some of you are asking if I'm jealous of my sister, or if I secretly want Ethan. No and no, I don't even like him. I'm just trying to protect my sister from marrying someone who would cheat on her literally the day before their wedding. Edit 4. To everyone saying I should talk to my parents first, my mom would probably just accuse me of trying to ruin Candace's big day. She's been planning this wedding for months and would probably ignore this rather than deal with the fallout. And my dad avoids conflict at all costs. Now for the first update. So a lot has happened since my last post. Thank you to everyone who commented. I read most of your advice, but obviously didn't have time to respond to everyone since everything happened so fast. And sorry in advance for how long this is going to be. I'm still processing everything. I did end up going to the hotel this morning to talk to Candace. God, I was so nervous I could barely function. I literally had like 4 cups of that disgusting hotel lobby coffee and my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I almost turned back twice. Like I actually got in the elevator to leave and then was like, no, I have to do this, and went back to her door. So I finally knocked on her door around 7:30 a.m. She was already up and wearing this silk robe with bride written on the back. My mom got it for her last Christmas. She's been planning this wedding forever. Candace looked so happy when she opened the door, like genuinely glowing. And for a second, I almost chickened out again because she just looked so excited. She immediately started showing me this super detailed schedule she had for the day. She went through all the times for hair, makeup, and photos, and asked me about some last-minute stuff with the flowers or whatever. I wasn't really listening because I felt like I was going to throw up. I finally just interrupted her and told her I needed to tell her something important about Ethan. I could literally see her face change. She sat down on the bed and asked what happened. I told her how Ethan came to my apartment last night. She immediately got defensive and asked why he would come to my apartment. I explained the whole thing about him saying he wanted advice on a last-minute wedding gift for her. And then I just had to say it. I told her he tried to kiss me and said all that stuff about me being the more interesting sister. I tried to be gentle, but there's no gentle way to tell someone their fiancé tried to cheat with their sister the night before their wedding. She just stared at me for what felt like forever, like she didn't even blink. And then she asked if I was absolutely sure it wasn't a misunderstanding. I told her that he put his hand on my thigh and tried to kiss me, and that he literally said she didn't have to know. I asked how that could possibly be a misunderstanding, and that's when everything went to shit. She stood up and accused me of always being jealous of her and finding problems with every boyfriend she's ever had, which is not true at all. I mean, yeah, I didn't like her college boyfriend, but that's because he was literally cheating on her with multiple girls, which I was right about, by the way. But I've never had issues with most of her boyfriends. I tried to defend myself, but I could feel myself getting frustrated because why would I make this up? I started crying and asked her that, why would I possibly make something like this up the day of her wedding? She kept saying I must have misinterpreted his friendly behavior and that Ethan would never do something like that, and he loves her so much and blah blah blah. After 20 minutes of this, she basically told me she needed some space, but that she still expected me to be her maid of honor, and that the wedding is still happening, Sarah. I left feeling completely devastated, like my own sister didn't believe me. I went back to my room and just sobbed for an hour. I couldn't believe she was still going through with the wedding. I mean, I know it's hard to accept something like this, but I'm her sister. Why would I lie about this? I called my friend Tony, who knows all about the family stuff, and she told me I should still go to the rehearsal dinner to support Candace, but to watch Ethan carefully. She thought maybe he'd slip up and show what he's really like to other people too. Honestly, I wasn't sure if I should even go to the rehearsal dinner, but part of me wanted to support my sister. I know that sounds contradictory after everything, but she's still my sister. And yeah, I guess part of me did want to see if Ethan would act shady around other people. And I felt like if I didn't show up, everyone would just think I was being dramatic. So I went to this fancy restaurant where they were having the dinner. Candace was acting super cheerful, but wouldn't make eye contact with me at all. My mom was completely oblivious to the awkwardness and was just focused on impressing Ethan's rich parents. My dad kept giving me these looks that I'm pretty sure meant, Why are you causing problems? But he never actually said anything to me. The weird thing was Ethan was acting completely normal, like suspiciously normal. He even went out of his way to be nice to me, offering to refill my wine glass and asking about my work. It felt so fake. I wanted to scream. Oh, and get this. During dinner, Brianna, one of the bridesmaids, mentioned seeing Ethan flirting with a bartender at his bachelor party the night before. She quickly changed the subject when she saw my face, but like, seriously, this guy is just a complete player. And Ethan's best man, Matt, kept avoiding eye contact with me all night. I'm pretty sure he knows what kind of guy Ethan really is. He probably covers for him all the time. Then the toast started. Candace's best friend gave this really sweet speech that made everyone cry. Then Matt gave his best man speech with all these stories about their friendship. And then it was Ethan's turn. I swear, as I listened to him talk about honesty and loyalty and how Candace was the only woman he's ever truly loved, something in me just snapped. I knew in that moment I couldn't let my sister marry this lying, cheating asshole tomorrow. I just couldn't. As everyone applauded after his speech, I found myself standing up, still holding my wine glass. I didn't even plan it. It just happened. Candace looked at me from across the table with this panicked expression. My mom looked confused, and Ethan, his whole body just went rigid. I knew I was about to blow up my sister's wedding and probably my relationship with my entire family. But in that moment, I didn't care. I couldn't let her marry him, no matter what. Edit. To answer the most common questions, no, I'm not in love with Ethan. You. And yes, I've thought about the possibility that maybe I misinterpreted things, but I'm 100% certain about what happened. He literally said, "Candace doesn't have to know," before he tried to kiss me. Edit 2. Some people are asking if there were other red flags with Ethan before this. I mentioned some in my previous post, but they were all smaller things that could be explained away. This was the first time he did something this obvious and disgusting. Edit 3. A lot of you are asking why I didn't record the conversation with Candace. Honestly, I was so upset and focused on telling her the truth that I didn't even think about getting proof, and I never expected my own sister wouldn't believe me. Edit 4. I know publicly confronting someone at their rehearsal dinner isn't the mature way to handle things, as many of you have pointed out. But after my sister dismissed me completely and was going to marry him anyway, I felt like I had no choice. And no, I hadn't been drinking much, just one glass of wine. Now for the second update. So, it's been a few days since my last post. I've been trying to process everything that happened, and honestly, I'm still kind of in shock. Thanks for all the comments and DMs. I know I left my last post on a cliffhanger. Not intentionally, I was just so overwhelmed with everything. To pick up where I left off, I was standing there at the rehearsal dinner, still holding my wine glass. Literally everyone was staring at me. It hit me in that moment that I was wearing that stupid emerald green bridesmaid dress Candace picked out. My hands were shaking so bad that some of my wine sloshed over the edge of the glass and splattered onto the tablecloth. The room went completely silent. Ethan's parents were exchanging confused looks, and my mom was giving me this death glare. My dad had this expression that I thought was disappointment. Turns out later it wasn't, but I'll get to that. Candace was across the table mouthing "please don't" to me. And in that moment, I took that as confirmation that she knew something was wrong with Ethan. Like, why else would she immediately assume I was about to say something bad? I mean, I could have been giving a normal toast, right? I told everyone I wanted to make an unplanned toast. My voice was shaking really bad. Ethan tried to change the subject by mentioning dessert, which just made him seem more guilty to me. I said I thought there was something everyone should know before tomorrow. My mom tried to stop me, but I kept going. When exactly is the right time to tell someone their fiancé is a cheater? So I just kept going. I told everyone. Ethan came to my apartment after his bachelor party. People started whispering and looking at each other. Ethan denied it and said he was with the guys all night, which was a lie since Brianna had just mentioned seeing him at the bar during his bachelor party. I couldn't stop once I started. I told everyone exactly what happened. How he came to my apartment for advice on a wedding gift, how he sat too close, how he said I was the more interesting sister, how he put his hand on my thigh, how he tried to kiss me, and how he said Candace didn't have to know. Candace put her head in her hands. She wouldn't look at either of us. And that just broke my heart because even though she didn't believe me earlier, I could tell it was hitting her now. Ethan started yelling that I was a liar and that I've always been jealous of Candace. He said I was the problem child who always causes problems, which is so not true. Okay, I admit I went through a brief rebellious phase in high school, but who doesn't? Then I asked him about why he had messages from someone named Kayla Jim with heart emojis on his phone and who Melissa work was. I should explain, back at Christmas, Ethan was showing everyone photos of his family's vacation, and I happened to see notifications pop up on his phone with those names. I didn't think much of it at the time, but it stuck in my memory. Ethan's face went white, and his best man Matt was suddenly super interested in his empty plate. My mom yelled at me to stop making a scene, like she was more concerned about the scene than the fact that her future son-in-law tried to cheat with her other daughter. I told Candace I was sorry to do this there, but she deserved better, and that I tried to tell her privately that morning. Ethan's mom asked if there was any truth to this. Instead of answering, he knocked over his chair, backing away from the table. He didn't even deny it, and then everyone was talking at once. Candace was crying. My mom was trying to calm everyone down. Ethan's dad was asking him questions. It was chaos. I grabbed my purse and left. I was crying so hard I could barely see to drive home. The weird thing is, even though I felt horrible about causing such a scene, there was this tiny part of me that felt relieved that Ethan was finally exposed. I don't know if that makes me a terrible person. I drove home in a daze. My phone was getting lots of calls and texts, but I turned it off. I couldn't deal with anyone. I took one of those sleeping pills I got prescribed after I got rear-ended last year. I hardly ever take them, and just crashed. I woke up around noon the next day, the wedding day, and turned my phone back on to find 27 missed calls from my mom, plus like a million texts from various family members. Some were supportive, but most were asking how could I do this to my sister. I finally worked up the courage to call my mom back, basically bracing for the worst. My mom immediately started telling me about the humiliation I'd caused the family and asked what I was thinking. I tried to defend myself and asked if the wedding was still happening. That's when she told me what happened after I left. Candace took Ethan into a private room at the restaurant and confronted him. At first, he denied everything, claiming I had misunderstood his friendliness. But Candace was finally suspicious and asked to see his phone. He refused to show his fiancé his phone the night before their wedding. They had a huge fight, and eventually everyone left the restaurant. When they got back to the hotel, Candace went to his room while he was in the shower and checked his phone. And guess what? She found dating apps, multiple dating apps, and inappropriate messages with several women. Some of the conversations were from just days ago. The wedding was officially canceled. My mom said they lost thousands in non-refundable deposits, and she made sure to mention that multiple times. I reminded her that I did tell Candace privately first that morning, but she didn't believe me. My mom just sighed and said Ethan's parents were completely humiliated and refusing to talk to anyone. I asked about Candace, and my mom said she was devastated, but at least now she knows the truth. Then my mom actually admitted that despite everything, she was relieved Candace didn't marry him, which I did not expect from her. Over the next few days, more stuff about Ethan came out. One of his coworkers reached out to Candace and told her he has a reputation at work for being inappropriate with women. Apparently everyone at his office knows to keep new female employees away from him. Gross. I talked to Candace a week after the canceled wedding. I could hear her cat Milo meowing constantly in the background. The same cat Ethan had been trying to convince her to get rid of because of his severe allergies. Guess that was just another lie. My parents lost about $15,000 in non-refundable deposits. Some vendors gave partial refunds when they heard what happened, but others refused. Candace ended up selling the engagement ring, which turns out wasn't even as expensive as he'd claimed, and used the money to book herself a solo trip to Europe that would have been their honeymoon. Things are still really tense in our family. My mom occasionally mentions the money they lost. And my Aunt Linda said I'm always causing drama, which is so unfair. I didn't create the problems, Ethan did. My relationship with Candace is complicated. We're slowly rebuilding. Last week she actually invited me for coffee and thanked me for saving her from what would have been a disastrous marriage. She did say she wished it hadn't happened so publicly though. I get that, but I tried the private route first and she didn't listen. Despite all the problems and lost money and family tension, I know I did the right thing. Sometimes doing the hard thing is also the right thing, you know? I couldn't have lived with myself if I'd stayed quiet and let my sister marry someone capable of such betrayal. Edit, a lot of you are asking why my dad hasn't said much in this situation. Turns out he's actually been super supportive of me behind the scenes. He told me privately that he always had reservations about Ethan but didn't want to upset my mom or Candace. He's just not the type to be vocal about stuff like this. Edit 2. To the people saying I could have found a better way to tell everyone, yes, maybe. But I tried telling my sister privately first, and she didn't believe me. What was I supposed to do? Just let her marry him. Edit 3. Some of you are asking if I think Ethan came on to me because he was specifically attracted to me, or if he's just a general cheater who would try with anyone. Honestly, I think it's the latter. I think he saw an opportunity with his fiancé's sister and took it. I don't think it was about me specifically. Edit 4. Thanks for all the support in the comments. To those asking if I regret my decision, no, I don't. Yes, the fallout has been messy, and yes, I wish things had gone differently. But Candace deserved to know the truth before making a huge mistake. And no, I'm not planning to pursue legal action against Ethan, as some have suggested. I just want to move on. Edit 5. For those wondering about Matt, Ethan's best man, Candace told me he actually called her to apologize after everything went down. Apparently he knew Ethan had cheated before but felt caught in the middle and didn't know what to do. I still think he's a coward for not saying something sooner, but whatever.